Okay, everybody, I'm doing a quick, hopefully quick, sort of one-take follow-up to my Mishimoto oil cooler for the NB Miata unboxing video. So I've installed it now, and actually had to tweak a few things throughout the process, and just trying to give people some hints of the things I found that you may need, because in the first video you made us, I said this thing comes with no instructions, no templates, nothing. So here's some of the things that I found helpful and had to buy a couple tools. So first, there's I think a 27mm socket. That's to install the sandwich plate adapter nut. And then I got this 1-inch big old wrench for the AN fittings. 1 inch is clearly overkill for the amount of torque you need, but it seems to be the right size. And it's what the store had. But I found that it was too big. So what I ended up doing was actually cutting it in half. So there you can see I cut it in half. That's 6 inches from sort of like the crook to the back. And that gives you the clearance because, well, I'll show you the actual car in a second. You see the clearance. Other things you're going to need, really helpful, were snips. And that was for installing the under tray. I thought the hardware that came with the under tray was rather crappy. I didn't like the sheet metal screws. I didn't like the idea of jagged sheet metal sticking up into the engine bay, rear of the radiator. So I got these really big pan head screws and flaring out washers that make it look real nice. Tape, I used painter's tape for measuring the under tray, tape measure for all that. And the thread sealant you won't need unless you're installing sensor gauges, which are using NPT fittings. The AN fittings that come with this kit don't need any sealant. So that's some of the things. Other things that were useful were standard just drill and drill bits to punch holes in the under tray. This transfer pump was really useful for priming the system. Just the standard transfer pump you pump your oil in, because you're adding a lot of capacity, and it's good to fill it with as much oil as possible. You can see I have an empty box for an oil filter. I actually installed the old oil filter, I know, on the first startup, just to get as much oil in that system and have it pre-primed. And I think that really helped. I mean, it seemed like I got instant oil pressure. I have since changed to a fresh oil filter. And you're gonna top off as well. Do probably after you start up. If you prime it really well, you won't really need to top off very much at all. And of course, a ton of towels. So I'm gonna come around here to the actual wheel well. If you change oil on a Miata, you know you have to kind of do it through the wheel well. I don't think this light's gonna be very well in here at all. It's not, but I'll say the main thing here is tons and tons of test fits. It's kind of a pain in the butt because you're working in close base. But test fit. Tightening those AN fittings was really tough, and that's why I had to buy that weird wrench and that weird socket. You're just not gonna get anything else in there. It's just no clearance. So that was the installing of the sandwich plate. The radiator itself is fairly straightforward. I've already got the under tray back on. But I'll show you what I did with that. You can see there it is, and I used the different screws heads up there. Again, the deal here was not measure twice, cut once, but measure like 1,000 times and cut 1,000 times. I must have put this under tray on 5 or 6 times, taking on off, because you don't really have a lot of margins around the ductwork to screw things in. I actually overcut in one place, so I only have 9 screws holding this thing on. That was just a real slow process. The tin snips were really helpful because you can get it mostly fitted and then just kind of trim a little bit at a time. It seems to work. Okay, I think this is getting longer than I expected, but hopefully that's helpful for you. So overall, seems like a good product. All the quality was good, just no instructions. Took a little longer than expected. just measure a lot of times, lots of test fit, and be very cautious about keeping the system primed so you never lose oil pressure. I installed sensors at the same time, but I'm not going to talk about that in this video. All right, thanks for watching.